Have you ever looked into the eyes of someone who has already accepted their own end? It's unsettling. They don't move like you. They don't flinch when the world screams. While you're losing sleep because of a passive-aggressive email or a judgmental look from a stranger, they remain still, a terrifying kind of stillness. It's not that they don't feel the sting of life. They feel it all, the betrayal, the cold, the hunger. The difference is they've built a psychological fortress so brutal that fear has been demoted from a master to a mere biological signal. The samurai didn't stumble upon this. They forged it. Surrounded by the constant stench of iron and mud, they realized that most people are already dead, paralyzed by 1,000 mental attachments. They created a code to convert chaos into clarity. This isn't ancient history. It's a blueprint for the modern man who is tired of being a puppet to his own emotions. If your life still feels like a series of accidents after this, perhaps you should just stop trying. Because if Musashi can't wake you up, nothing will. The ritual began before the sun touched the horizon. A warrior would wake up, feel the bite of the morning air on his skin, and immediately visualize his own corpse. This wasn't some dark, emo obsession. It was a surgical strike against ego. Think about your typical morning. You wake up and immediately start collecting debts. You worry about what your boss thinks. You fret over a bill. You get angry at a comment on your phone. Your mind is a leaking bucket, pouring energy into things that won't matter in 5 years. Or 5 minutes. The samurai stopped the leak. By starting the day with the absolute certainty of death, the tragedies of daily life evaporated. When you've already faced your execution in your mind, a traffic jam or a rude neighbor feels pathetic. It's not just prioritizing, it's a radical shift in the weight of reality. We live in a bubble of someday. We sign 30-year mortgages and act like time is an infinite resource. It makes us soft. It makes us cowards. We stay in suffocating jobs and toxic relationships because we are terrified of the end. But the end is coming anyway. Musashi viewed life as morning dew. It's there, it's beautiful, and then the sun hits it. It's gone, no negotiations. When you stop fighting this truth, you stop being a victim of change. You don't become cold, you become present. You stop saving the good words for a funeral and start saying them now. You stop holding grudges because you realize you're poisoning a life that's already half over. This isn't just philosophy, it's a shield. It's the only way to be truly untouchable. There is a parasite living in your brain. It's the person who insulted you yesterday. They aren't even there anymore, but you've given them a room in your head, rent-free. You're in the shower, but you're actually arguing with them. You're at dinner with your family, but your mind is replaying that one snarky comment. The interaction lasted 60 seconds. You've turned it into a 6-hour torture session for yourself. Who is the enemy here? Not them. You. The samurai practiced mushin, the mind of no attachment. In a duel, if you focused on the scratch you just received, the next strike would take your head. The mind must flow like water, never sticking to one rock. Most people are reactive machines. Someone pokes, you explode. Someone ignores, you spiral. You have zero agency. You're just a collection of triggers waiting to be pulled. The warrior, however, evaluated every provocation with a cold eye. Does this require my blood? Usually the answer was silence. Choosing not to enter a useless war isn't weakness. It's the ultimate flex of power. Every time you ignore a digital provocation or a petty insult, you are reclaiming your life force. You are keeping the keys to your fortress. True power is the ability to observe a storm and choose not to get wet. It's the realization that your attention is the most valuable currency you own, and most of you are spending it on garbage. Stop being so easy to manipulate. Stop letting strangers dictate your internal temperature. When you master your reaction, you become a ghost in their machine. They can't find you because you're no longer playing their game. The samurai were not rebels in the way we think of them today. They didn't wear their hair long and scream about individuality while following the latest trends. They lived within one of the most suffocatingly rigid social systems in human history. Every bow had a specific angle. Every word had a hierarchy. Every movement was scrutinized by peers and masters alike. Yet, in the very heart of this cage, they cultivated a level of interior independence that would make a modern influencer tremble. They followed the code of the collective, but they didn't emotionally hunger for the validation of the crowd. And that, right there, is the secret bridge between being a slave and being a king. Most of you are currently drowning in a sea of invisible eyes. Look at your life. You buy clothes not because they protect you from the elements, but because of how they'll be perceived in a 15-second video. You choose a career path based on the silent approval of parents who are living out their own unfulfilled dreams through you. You date people because they look good on an arm, not because they challenge your soul. You have become a sophisticated mirror, constantly adjusting your angle to reflect back what you think society wants to see. It is an exhausting, shallow, and frankly pathetic way to spend your limited years on this planet. Let's look at the physical cost of this validation addiction. Your body is a map of your social anxiety. Your shoulders are permanently hunched because you're carrying the weight of others' opinions. Your breath is shallow because you're always on guard, waiting for a critique or a judgment. You are constantly scanning the room, the comments section, the group chat, looking for that hit of dopamine that says, "You're doing okay, we still accept you." You are a prisoner who has fallen in love with his own shackles. Miyamoto Musashi represents the ultimate breaking of these chains. During his years of wandering, he often went unwashed, with unkempt hair, wearing clothes that were functional but far from fashionable. He didn't do this to be edgy. He did it because his focus was so laser-aligned with the mastery of the blade that the noise of social fashion simply didn't register. When people mocked him, he didn't write a manifesto to defend his choices. He didn't try to explain his side or cancel his critics. He responded with a silence so profound it was deafening. He knew a truth that you have forgotten. Your reputation is something you cannot control, so why waste your life force trying to curate it? Imagine for a second a version of yourself that genuinely did not care if 1,000 people called you a failure today. Not a version that pretends not to care while crying inside, but a version that truly, biologically feels no sting from their words. This is the Iron Sanctuary. It's the ability to have a compass that doesn't spin wildly just because someone else holds a magnet near it. This isn't about being a jerk. It's about being solid. You start building this sanctuary by embracing the silence of the disagreeable. Next time you are in a group and someone says something you know is wrong or shallow, don't jump in to correct them, and don't nod along to be polite. Just stay silent. Feel the social pressure rising in the room like heat. Feel your ego panicking, screaming at you to say something to fit back in, to ease the tension. Let that tension sit there. Let it burn. That discomfort you feel is the sound of your spirit finally growing a backbone. Every time you choose your internal truth over a cheap social consensus, you are adding a brick to your fortress. Over time, that desperate need for a like or a pat on the back starts to wither away. You become a person with a center, and ironically, the world only starts to respect you once you prove that you don't need its respect to survive. If you're ready to take this further and make discipline part of who you are, explore the KMA method. It's a short, action-focused system built to train your mind, harden your will, and create relentless consistency in just 5 minutes a day. You'll find the link in the first pinned comment. Modern society has a pathological relationship with discomfort. We treat emotional pain like a bug in the software of life, something that needs to be patched out immediately with a pill, a distraction, or a safe space. We've become masters of avoidance. If we feel the slightest bit of loneliness, we swipe on a screen. If we feel a hint of anxiety, we scroll through a feed of mindless noise. We have treated the fire of life as an enemy to be extinguished, rather than the fuel it was meant to be. But a sword isn't made by pampering the steel in a velvet box. It's made in the forge. The Japanese katana is a marvel of engineering, but its beauty is born from a process of systematic violence. The steel is heated until it's incandescent, until it's literally glowing with the agony of the flame. Then a master hits it with a heavy hammer, Thousands of times, it is folded over itself, beaten again, and thrust back into the fire. Each strike is designed to break the impurities, to align the molecular structure, to force the metal into a state of resilience it could never achieve on its own. The pain of the process is the quality of the final product. There is no shortcut. When life hits you with a hammer, when a business fails, when a partner betrays you, when you find yourself standing at a funeral, you have two paths. You can succumb to the victim loop, which is what 99% of people do. You can complain about how unfair the hammer is. You can cry about why the fire is so hot. You can rot in a state of self-pity, replaying the injustice until it becomes your entire identity. Or you can embrace the warrior's alchemy. You can recognize that the fire is burning away the parts of you that were too weak, too naive, or too arrogant to handle the reality of the world. Think about the last time you were truly devastated. Most people waste that pain. They feel the burn, they get the scar, but they learn absolutely nothing. They just become bitter. The samurai viewed adversity as a severe teacher. If you lose a duel and survive, you don't get mad at the opponent. You study your own stance. You ask, where was I lazy? Where was I overconfident? Where did I lack discipline? This is a brutal, honest, and deeply uncomfortable self-interrogation. It hurts more than the initial failure, but it is the only way to ensure the next hammer blow doesn't break you. Let's apply this to your modern struggles. You get rejected by someone you thought was the one. The victim spends months stalking their social media and feeling worthless. The warrior sits in the pain, feels the coldness in his chest, and asks, why did I attach my entire sense of self to this person? What void was I trying to fill? Why did I ignore the warning signs? He uses the rejection as a chisel to sculpt a more independent version of himself. He doesn't run from the sadness. He lets it temper him. He becomes harder in the best sense of the word, not cold, but durable. You don't need more comfort. You don't need another self-care day where you hide from your responsibilities. You need to stop running from the forge. Discipline is nothing more than the daily practice of choosing the hammer over the pillow. It's doing the work when your body is screaming for rest. It's facing the truth when your ego is begging you to lie. The more you subject yourself to the voluntary fire of discipline, the less the involuntary fires of life can hurt you. You become the hammer. You become the flame. And eventually, you realize that the most beautiful parts of your soul were the ones that had to be beaten into existence. We live in the golden age of mental masturbation. Never in human history has it been easier to simulate progress while remaining absolutely stagnant. You can spend hours watching productivity videos, listening to podcasts about stoicism, and reading every book Miyamoto Musashi ever wrote. You can fill your journals with quotes about the warrior spirit and your walls with pictures of katanas. You can talk, plan, and research until your brain is heavy with information. But here is the cold, hard truth that most people will never admit to themselves. Knowledge without immediate and brutal application is just a sophisticated form of procrastination. It's a way to feel like you're moving without ever having to face the terrifying resistance of reality. In the world of the samurai, there was no gap between the thought and the blade. If you knew how to counter a specific strike but your body failed to move when the steel was inches from your throat, your knowledge was worth less than the dirt you were about to fall on. The gap between knowing and doing was where death lived. In your modern life, that gap is where your potential goes to rot. You know you should start that business. You know you should end that habit. You know you should take that cold shower or hit the gym, but you don't. You tell yourself you need more information or the right timing. You are waiting for a feeling of certainty that will never come because certainty is a byproduct of action, not a prerequisite for it. The samurai had a concept that translates to the void. It wasn't about nothingness in the sense of being empty. It was about the purity of action that comes when the ego stops overthinking. When you are in the void, there is no you thinking about the work. There is only the work being done. Most of you are trapped in a crowded room of your own thoughts. You are debating yourself. You are negotiating with your comfort. Maybe tomorrow. Maybe when I'm less tired. The warrior doesn't negotiate with his own laziness. He views those internal excuses as enemy scouts trying to infiltrate his camp. He kills them on sight. If you want to be disciplined, you must stop being a scholar of life and start being a butcher of excuses. You must develop a radical intolerance for your own intentions. Intentions don't build empires. Intentions don't forge steel. Intentions are what people talk about at bars when they're 30 pounds overweight and broke. The warrior understands that a mediocre plan executed with total violent commitment beats a perfect plan that stays in a notebook every single time. Stop preparing to live. Stop getting ready to be disciplined. The fortress of your life is built one stone at a time, and the stones are heavy. They are covered in mud. They will make your hands bleed. But you have to pick them up. You have to carry them. And you have to do it when you're tired, when you're sad, and especially when you're not feeling it. This is the only way out of the cage of mediocrity. The void of action is waiting for you. Either you jump into it and become something new, or you stay on the edge talking about it until you die. Let's be brutally honest as we close this chapter. You have reached the end of this video, and you are currently feeling a surge of inspired energy. Your heart rate is slightly up. You're thinking, yes, this is it. Today is the day I change. That feeling is a trap. It is a chemical trick your brain plays to make you feel like you've accomplished something just by watching. In 30 minutes, that feeling will start to fade. In 2 hours, the real world will start knocking. An annoying text message, a craving for junk food, the comfortable warmth of your bed. And in that moment, the version of you that watched this video will face the version of you that has been a slave to comfort for years. If you don't have a concrete physical action plan for the next 60 seconds, you have wasted your time. If you go back to scrolling after this, you are proving that you are part of the 99% who prefer the dream of strength over the reality of it. You are the morning dew that Musashi spoke of, beautiful in your potential, but destined to evaporate the moment things get hot. The warrior's path is not for everyone. It is lonely, it is repetitive, and it is often thankless. There is no applause when you wake up at 4 a.m. to train. There are no likes when you choose silence over a petty argument. There is no validation when you sit with your pain instead of numbing it. There is only the quiet, unshakable knowledge that you are no longer a puppet. You have reclaimed your strings. If you aren't willing to be the hammer and the anvil, then please, for your own sake, give up. Stop pretending you want more. Stop watching these videos. Go back to being comfortable. Go back to being a consumer. At least then, you'll be honest about your own decline. But if there is still a spark of iron in your soul, then prove it. Not to me. Not to the comments section. Not to your followers. Prove it to the man you see in the mirror. He's the only one you can't lie to. The samurai knew that the greatest victory was over oneself. That victory isn't won once, it's won every single second you choose the difficult right over the easy wrong. The door is open. The mist is clearing. The sun is rising. Will you evaporate or will you strike? The choice was always yours, and it always will be.